We've seen gender-based violence and femicide reach incredible heights in South Africa. Day after day, we're inundated in the news with cases of violence and men beating women up, really men that they love. Statistics are starting to show that men think it's okay to beat a woman up for any number of reasons, from staying out too late, arguing with him, burning the food, neglecting the kids, whatever the case may be. So today in studio, I'm joined by Mbane, who is a wife, a mother, an entrepreneur. She runs a guest house called Midrand Guest House, and she herself has in the past survived abuse at the hands of a partner. This is Lusanda Mbane, and this is Zazi Zithande Zithembe. Mamula, welcome to the show.
Thank you so very much.
Right. Firstly, tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, I know personally that you are a social activist, specifically relating to issues that affect women, but tell me more about you.
My name is Mbane. I am 50 years old.
Sure, you don't look a day older than 30.
Yes, girl. Thank you, thank you. And I am a mother of 4 beautiful girls. I am a wife. I'm a social activist. I'm an advocate for human rights, and you always find me on the picket lines, whether it's stop xenophobia, I'm there, whether it's fees must fall, I'm there, even if my kids don't owe school fees, but you find me in the forefront of that. So that is my passion. I think that is my calling to be a champion of human rights.
What about that passion?
I don't know, maybe it's an inborn thing. It's not something that you dream about and say, tomorrow I'm going to be an activist. I've been an activist throughout my life, from student organization. I've been a member of COSAS in the deep rural Limpopo, where you'd think that COSAS is only in Soweto. But I've been a member of COSAS. And I have been one of the co-founders of SASCO, your South African Student organization now. I traveled all the way from Limpopo to Grahamstown to launch the organization. I've been a member of SATU. I am an activist, so it's something that I was born with. So a number of issues, maybe because I am somebody who loves justice. I don't want to see anybody suffers at the hand of any other person.
I see. Makes sense. So someone as strong as yourself, who's founded organizations, who's been a champion for anything that relates to violence against anybody for that matter, we deem that person to be strong enough, to be able to stand up for themselves, to probably not ever experience any kind of violence against themselves. We think they're okay, they can handle that. Have you experienced any form of violence against you, specifically maybe in a relationship before?
Oh yes, definitely. I have seen violence all my life. My mom divorced my father because my father meted out violence on her. As a young girl of 8 years old, I had to witness my mom running away from my father in the middle of night without any form of clothing on her. That was my first form of coming into contact with violence. And fast forward, I'm a young adult, I'm getting married. The same fate that my mother went through, I also suffered it at the hands of a partner. So I guess, like you're saying, statistics shows that women suffer most at the hands of their intimate partners. I could say maybe 90% of South African women suffer this fate at the hands of their partners.
Mamlato, this is where it kind of confuses me. So you're the voice of everybody else. How does it feel to experience something like that? Or let me rather say, what is the reason then that you don't exercise that same kind of voice when it's happening to you?
It's a difficult question, eh? Because the world and everybody else comes to you to fight for them. And everybody wants you to be that voice of reason. They want you to be that strong person or upon whose shoulder they can stand on. And you don't want people to see you fall apart because you're thinking, I'm letting them down. If I'm myself falling apart, they won't be coming to me for help. But it took me therapy to realize that, my therapist told me that you are not Jesus. You cannot save the world. I've been through therapy like 6 months, full 6 months. And she said to me, ever since for the past 6 months you've been here, you've been talking about everybody else but you. Where is Mamela in the scheme of things? Yeah. You need to start living for yourself. She said to me something that was very profound. She said, you cannot give from an empty cup. You need to fill your cup first, so that you'll be able to give unto others.
So, you're talking therapy, and I know that specifically in the black culture, it's still relatively taboo to say I'm seeing somebody. Like, we think you've lost your mind, literally. That, or we probably can't even afford to go and see a therapist. Are there any alternatives, number one, to therapy? Like, is there any other way you can go and you can't afford to go that route? Or number two, if you can afford it, why should you be seeing a therapist? Why should people go and see one?
Interesting you speaking about coming from the black background. Myself as a Christian, practicing Christian then, I took sabbatical now. I'm on church sabbatical.
That's a story for another day.
My pastor is not going to see this. You go to church, you belong to prayer groups, people tell you pray about it. And I'm very vocal about this even on social media. I say stop telling women to pray about it. If I'm hungry, feed me. Don't say pray about it. If my husband is beating me up, get me a shelter. Don't say pray about it. Because this is what a lot of women are going through, and church people are saying to them, pray about it. To me, I had to get out of the pray about it mode and venture into other alternatives. And myself, I did not believe in therapy, but the circumstances that I found myself in dictated that I go through therapy, which helped, which really helped a lot. Yes.
Well, I understand then your standpoint why you needed to go, because I can imagine the frustration of anybody telling me to pray instead of giving me a solution, because prayer helps those who help themselves, I'm quite sure. So then alternatives, if I can't go see a therapist because I can't afford it, what else can I do to get to speak to somebody as a black woman?
You can afford therapy. I went through free therapy.
Oh, I see.
Yes, our health systems have got those measures in place. For 6 months. I went every single week. So if I had to see a private therapist, I would have paid with a lot of money. But I paid nothing. It was offered for me for free. So people think therapy is expensive. If you go to the nearest healthcare clinics or whatever, the government do offer therapy for free.
Thank you for that. I personally didn't even know that. I thought there would have to be a lot of money to go that route.
But those others who think they can still pray about it, I think it's good for them to go there and pray about it.
I hear you. Any words of wisdom that you can give to, maybe before I even go there, I want to know, did you come out of the relationship eventually?
En route. And hopefully en route.
I see.
Yes, hopefully I won't hit a detour.
Oh, you've done your part.
I've done my part. Okay. Yes, the process is still unfolding. So
I'm with you. So, any words of wisdom? I mean, you've managed to successfully navigate. Well, I don't know how successful you can ever be in such a thing, but you've successfully managed to navigate your way out of the situation, at least. What can you say to other women who are going through the same thing?
I'm going to use my mother's words. My mom is a divorcee, and back then, in 1976, when it was taboo and under traditional rule for a woman to say, I'm divorcing, I think my mother was a hero to take that stand. She always says, if you have a problem, don't come to me because I'm going to tell you, move out. So I'm saying to women out there, if you are in an abusive relationship, move out. Because one day you will get out in a coffin.
then women sit there and think, what about the kids? What about the car? What about the house? What are people going to say?
Those are material things that we're not born with. And I tell you from my personal experience, my kids told me, Ma, can you get out of this relationship?
Sure.
Coming from my own children, because they said, Ma, this is toxic. We cannot afford to stay in a home like this. We'd rather have one parent in a happy space than stay with both parents in a happy space. So a lot of women, we're thinking, we are, for our own selfish reasons, we're thinking we're doing it for the children. But we're not doing it for the children. It's for our own selfish reasons.
Sure. Mamlato, thank you for sharing yourself, for sharing your story, and for being quite honest about it. We appreciate it, and I'm quite certain that there's a whole lot more South African women that will benefit from watching and from listening to your story. That was Mamlato Mbane. She's a social activist, especially relating to issues about women. She's an entrepreneur. She runs a guest house called Midrand Guest House, and she said that you can even access free help whenever you need to if you are in an abusive relationship. So look out. At the end of the show, we'll give you as many as we can of those details. Otherwise, thank you for joining us. This was it for Zazi Zithande Zithembe this week. Until next week.